Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to start by reviewing and approving the minutes for our last two meetings, July 7th and July 19th.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from July 7th, 2022.
Okay.
Second it.
All right. Any discussion on the minutes?
Looks good.
All those in favor of approving the minutes for July 7th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right. And I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for July 19th.
Second.
Any discussion there?
No, looks good.
All those in favor of approving the minutes for 7/19,
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. That's that for that. Any adjustments to the agenda? I've got, is Owen coming to the meeting tonight?
I hope so. He said he would. He had court today.
Okay.
He may not get here until 6:15 or 6:30.
All right,
Okay.
so why don't we move him to the, just below our law enforcement updates information there. Does that sound okay? Give him a little bit of extra time to get here and get situated. All right, any other adjustments to the agenda? Okay. All right. So we'll start with Rachel Smith, Grimes Acres concern. Is Rachel here? Okay. Well,
Move her down.
that'll be down to the bottom. How about that? Okay. Law enforcement. All right, so we'll start with the civil constable job description.
Okay, so I gave you all packets, over the weekend,
Was that in the packet?
what Trevor and Human Resources at VLCT went over. Here's another copy, and this one, I was saying could be signed
Okay.
with the green tags.
Is that
Yep.
okay?
That's the cleaner.
Sure, making the right thing.
No.
All right.
You wanna go back up? Go back up?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that.
sure, okay. All right. So Owen just arrived. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. We wanted to give you a couple minutes, but are you ready to talk about the state police? You look like you would like to talk about the state police.
If you want me.
If you want to come towards the front, that'd be great. You get to be on camera. That's, yeah, if you want to or not. Right here, good? Yep. Thank you, sir. So I think what we're really interested in is learning, a little bit about how the state police patrols the area of Groton and, what that looks like, and any other information you'd like to provide around, the law enforcement abilities of state police.
So I can tell you that the town of Groton is one of our 5 patrol areas. It's our 4th patrol area. That area covers Peacham, Barnet, Groton, Reigate, Thompson, and Newbury. So it's one of 6 towns in one of the 30 towns that we have responsibility to cover.
And that's out of the St. Johnsbury Barracks?
Correct.
Okay.
So we have the St. Johnsbury Barracks, we have the Bradford Outpost.
Yep.
Normally, on a good shift, we'll have 1 trooper for each coverage area.
Okay.
So we normally operate with 5. There are times when we only have 4 on, and then we'll combine our patrol area 1 and 2, or excuse me, 2 and 3, which is St. Johnsbury and then Essex County. That trooper will be responsible for that whole area.
Okay.
So generally speaking, we're spread very thin, and we have very limited resources. Don't know if you've heard, but we have a bit of a staffing issue. recruiting and retention is a big problem. Right now, we have approximately 50 vacancies in the state police. We have an authorized strength of 332, and we're down 50 positions. We have 6 in the academy right now.
But it's everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere. But law enforcement is even worse.
Yes.
So
We're
when you
spread.
call 911 and nobody comes because everybody's busy and there's not enough staffing and
We will respond to life safety calls. You know, we try to prioritize the calls, but, you know, nuisance calls, quality of life calls, things that can be handled by phone, which every trooper's issued a cell phone now, so we're trying to do a lot more, you know, just calling people back when we have cell service,
good luck right
which we don't hear.
Depends, unless you have 2 cell phones, one AT&T and one Verizon.
Right.
So, okay.
So yeah, not a super rosy picture.
Yeah.
Although it's funny, we had this discussion, I think I met 2 state troopers on the way back from Wells River this afternoon. And you have somebody that's living right down in, not too far from us, down in, that'd be Rygate or New Area there.
Boltonville Flats.
Boltonville Flats.
Boltonville Flats.
We have a lot of our newer troopers are having difficulty finding houses that they can afford,
Yeah.
or even rental properties. So the majority of our new troopers live in the Barry area because they can find places to rent. So that's been an issue as well.
That's why you see somebody coming this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do most of your troopers have take-home cars?
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what is a life, what did you say is life, threatening life?
Yeah, like a assault in progress or domestic in progress or a car crash with injuries. Those are the types of calls that, you know, require an immediate response. Immediate being a relative term, you know, if someone's in Topsom and they have to come all the way up, it's going to be a while. Those types of things.
And will somebody come with someone else, or is it usually just one trooper?
Usually it's just one, because we're spread so thin over such a big area. I mean, in addition to the towns that we have to cover, we have approximately 200 miles of the interstate that we have to cover as well.
How do civilian constables work with you?
I don't know, well, how do you mean?
So for instance, if there was something happening and a civilian constable called you or tried to, is there a way that you work with civilian constables in other towns to help serve people who might not have problems that rise to the level that are life-threatening or whatever? Do you have?
Well, it's not really a civilian constable. A constable is an elected position, and the town can either choose to have them have, you know, law enforcement authority, in which they have to go to the academy and get certified as a part-time officer. So in that case, they would have some law enforcement abilities.
Right. We had one who just retired, so we're transitioning to other, a
Yeah.
different scenario.
Yeah, we're looking at a constable that does not have law enforcement authority, which we're kind of terming a civilian constable, in that they wouldn't have those, you know, those law enforcement responsibilities, obviously, because they don't have the training expertise or otherwise. I think what we're really trying to understand is, you know, what the law enforcement landscape looks like for Groton. You know, we've you know, had a lot of conversation around you know, the sheriff's department and contracting private, you know, a private law enforcement officer for the town and what those things look like. So I do know, I mean, one of the questions I had is I heard that there are other towns that contract with the state police for coverage. Is that a thing?
It is a thing. So we have, the St. Johnsbury Barracks is a contract with the town of Burke. and we have a contract with the town of Reigate. Reigate is 2 hours a week. Last year was 3 hours a week, it was just reduced to 2 hours a week.
Which they also contract with this.
They contract with the sheriff's
Okay.
department as
So
well.
that town has two, contract with the state police and a contract with the sheriff's department.
Okay, because we just contract with the sheriff's department for 4 to 6 hours a week to try to do something. So, and then we've been working on a study to kind of figure out law enforcement, what we need, what's happening, what's most important.
How to talk to people who think, who had the idea that when we had a law enforcement constable, if they dialed 911, that person was going to show up. People who just didn't really understand what the real landscape was. Now the landscape has changed, so how do we help people understand? I mean, there's a perception that the state police don't come here. And I'm not sure that that's true. We have issues.
I disagree, because it seems like I see them all the time here. You know what I mean?
Want to see them.
Yeah, Deb, I think the thing that I've heard is, I heard it from one particular, resident that just said, somebody broke into my house when I wasn't there, and the state police didn't show up right away. They showed up like the next day, and I can understand with them being short-staffed and dealing with, the life safety type calls that they have to deal with, prioritizing all of those over other things. It makes sense, but, so I guess.
So, yeah, I mean, in defense, on my way here, the troopers were responding to somebody who had overdosed, and they were responding to someone who was actively cutting themselves with a knife. So, I mean, those types of calls, you have to respond in an attempt to help someone. Not that a burglary to a residence isn't a big deal, but if it's not active and ongoing, it just gets moved down the list. And
what's the best process for someone to go through if they do have their house burgled? Should they call somebody other than the state police? Should they call the?
no, unless the sheriff's department probably isn't going to respond unless they are working. How many hours do you contract? with
4 to
the
6.
4 to 6.
And they work with the other towns, so they work us in like this,
So if they're going to do 2 hours in Reigate, they'll stop here first, or maybe they'll do, 2 hours here, then they'll do an hour there, another hour here, so they're constantly moving around.
And we're just trying to do something. We have a lot of complaints over speeding through town, and I don't know, I'm assuming that everything is escalated. It seems like there's a lot more going on now than there ever used to be as far as stuff.
So I pulled the stats for the town of Groton. Last year, the state police responded to 110 calls for service.
Okay.
This year, to date, we're at 101 already.
Okay.
So, and that's everything from, deaths, aggravated assault, simple assault, burglary, larceny, vandalism, family disturbances, citizens disputes. That's everything.
Right.
So, yeah, the numbers would indicate that we're probably going to have more calls here this year than we did last year.
Right. And you're short-staffed, so it makes it that much harder to deal with it. Like everything.
So, I guess the other kind of question is what does a contract with the state police look like out of St. John's Area Barracks? What is that? For Reigate, it sounds like it's 2 hours a week. What does that look like?
So if that's something, that would have to be approved above my level.
Yeah.
It gets approved by the field force major.
Okay.
And, with the limited staffing that we have, the state police isn't really looking to,
Yeah.
we have a hard enough time staffing the shifts,
Mm-hmm.
say nothing of taking on additional town contracts.
Gotcha. So it's probably not, currently for you guys, it sounds like operationally it's not feasible to be able to dedicate that time for patrolling for Groton.
I would say that's accurate. We could try to do something for a couple hours a week, like we do in Reigate, but I don't know if that would I don't know that that would meet your needs, and I don't know that that would get approved.
Yeah.
So,
So we could certainly.
But my
use-
opinion is, let's see how it goes with the sheriff's department, and if we have escalated problems, you guys are gonna respond if it's life-threatening and blah, 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 as soon as you can, and whatever, like any other place, I'm assuming.
what would a contract with the state police, how would it be different from a contract with the sheriff? I mean, say, for instance, staffing gets fixed, and in another year or 2 years, somebody wants to do that. How would there be a difference between the services that you offer, say, Reigate, compared to the Caledonia Sheriff's Department?
Well, I don't know what
Right.
how their contracts operate. All I could say is that, so for Reigate or Burke, for instance, the troopers, if the trooper lives in Barry and they sign on and drive to Burke, they're not going to charge their travel time to the town. That's not fair. So if they're going to work 4 hours in Burke, they need to be in the town for all 4 hours. So they're not going to get traveling there and traveling back. It's the.
And is it mostly traffic
Yes.
control?
Yeah,
Okay.
traffic enforcement.
Which is exactly what, I mean, that's pretty much what
What
the sheriff's department's doing.
Anyway.
But
Yes.
we are paying for travel time, yeah.
No, we're not.
not.
No, we're not.
No, we're
Well,
not.
I don't know what the contract says.
Yeah, no, so
We're
that was,
not.
that was explained to us, which
They work
is,
us in,
Yeah.
through
So
all
they-
the other towns so we don't get charged.
yeah,
for
because
it.
it's all of the other towns that they've got contracts with, they just create a patrol loop that includes Groton in the loop, so we
Okay.
wouldn't get charged for
Well,
that mileage,
that's-
which
So
is good.
So if the sheriff's department is working in the town and a call comes in, do they get assigned that call, or does that call get passed off to the state police?
Probably depending on the situation of the call, I
Yeah.
would assume.
He said if he was here and something happened, he would go to it.
Yeah.
He said if he was already here patrolling,
But
pretty sure that's how he said
It
it.
seems
But
like,
but I think whatever that incident would be, that whatever time that incident took would cut into our time plus the hourly rate that they
yeah,
had,
so
so,
to get into an
you know,
investigation and a blah, 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 which
well,
it would be kind of silly, as far as I'm concerned, to hire the state police to come down here and do traffic when you guys have other things that are highly more important than that, when we can hire the sheriff's department to come do traffic, so on and so forth.
How does the dispatcher know is that the proper question? So if the sheriff was in the area and a call came in, would somebody who answered the call know that they could hand that off to the sheriff, or?
That's a good question.
I don't believe so, Deborah.
Yeah.
I don't believe so. It would be imperative on the fire department, the rescue, updating their dispatch that a deputy is on scene, and if they have state police en route, then inform them of that.
So some agencies are better than others at
Yeah.
letting us know when they're working in a specific area. And some people conveniently just left that area as soon as the call came in.
Oh, yeah.
That was traditionally how you guys worked with Caledonia County Sheriff, that they've been one of the agencies that'll let you know or help you out if you guys come across something, or?
I mean, we have good working relationship with all the agencies in the area, or we try to.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that hypothetically that could happen.
Yeah.
How does it work with the emergency and fire department stuff? Would you call the
Yeah,
sheriff?
it happens all at the PSAT at 911.
Right.
They take the call and they dispatch the resources that are required for the call. So, and by default, they're sending the state police because the town doesn't have a police force.
Right.
So car accidents or, domestic or,
Would you
State police,
would you
but-
guys respond to a domestic, or if there was somebody injured, you might?
yes, that would be, if the fast one went out, it would be because of an injury.
Right.
but, I mean, the other thing too is depending on the timing of the call, if it's during business hours, right, the sheriff's department may respond if they're in the area, but, what their patrol hours aren't necessarily at, 8 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning, the state police has, I'm sure has somebody patrolling or available if there is an emergency call, they can handle that, but the sheriff's department may not. So
Right.
that's the challenge we run into.
But I mean, that's one thing that you can specify in a contract, if there are specific days and times where in specific areas that you, I mean, that's, you as the customer in the West, like.
Well,
hey,
we like to think so, but the sheriff's department doesn't quite necessarily work that way, so.
Yeah.
So,
And honestly, it's the only show in town.
Yep.
So you take what you can get.
so I guess if as the select board, one of the things we could put in our contract with the sheriff's department is to work with the state police and let them know, you know, if they're working here, then if something happens, they got it covered versus somebody having to pull off something else to come here to work on it.
So, but the issue with that is if they respond to an incident that requires some investigation.
Then-
So say, how many hours are you talking a week?
It's like
4 to 6.
So let's say you got 5 hours a week. Well, if you have a lengthy investigation where you have to interview a bunch of
Delete
people
that up.
and write an affidavit and prepare a court packet, well, that's all gonna get charged to, in my opinion, it would all be that time working on the case for the town is going to get charged to the town. So if you want them for traffic control and they're taking criminal incidents, it's just gonna detract from.
Right.
Well, I think that is, it's possible with even a traffic stop. They stop somebody and they find drugs, right? I mean, then,
Or DUI or.
or DUI, or, yeah, then it's yeah, you're right, there's a whole workup that we get charged for. I mean, that's,
Well,
so,
that's what we're paying for.
well, to a certain extent, but I mean, it's a limitation thing. So it's up to we get 3 of those incidents in a month, and we could chew up $10,000 just, and then we're renegotiating. I mean, that's the
Yeah, but
challenge.
that's not, that wasn't really the discussion we had with the sheriff's
Well,
department.
I
In
mean,
our contract, it was to do
it was
traffic control and stuff.
But we put a monetary limit on
But
it.
I don't think that they're gonna be doing
No,
any significant.
well, no, I'm just saying
You're
kind
just
of,
saying you'll eat up
as
money.
a
They did that.
hypothetical, it's very possible that, a DUI investigation and court time and all of that stuff is gonna get charged to us if that happens.
I didn't get that interpretation from, is that what?
Yes, that's what I said.
That's what I read in the contract. I mean, I've read that thing a couple of times. It's, yeah.
So any extra investigation and court time gets charged
Yep.
off the money that we've allotted to them. So
So,
we could run out of money by November 15th
Right.
instead of getting us through to the end of the year.
yep.
It's kind of a
But it's just a chance, I mean, it's still worth.
interesting.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
we,
you want those people to get dealt with, but not necessarily at the town's expense, or, right? I mean,
Both
So-
towns taking responsibility for law enforcement, so.
but it's
Yeah,
the same
it's-
thing with just my experience with us establishing a no parking zone on 302 at the east end of town. We were very limited on what we could do. And now, if we wanted to try to get more cars towed out of there, forget about it. They don't have the staff to do it. Caledonia doesn't have the staff to do it. And we're not gonna send somebody, the state isn't gonna send just a wrecker in there to pull cars out without, it puts that guy, puts that person in danger. So, honestly, I mean, I think, I appreciate the hard work that the state police are putting in. I appreciate the hard work that the Caledonia County Sheriff and all the sheriff's departments are putting in. But, there aren't people going into law enforcement right now. And, I mean, it's like every business is struggling with people, trying to find jobs, trying to find people to do the work. And, it's even more challenging, I'm sure, in law enforcement right now. And, we're kind of stuck, really, with
How
what
many,
we're able to do.
how many of the calls that brought the state police to Groton were done by the fire, were initiated by the fire department or fast squad or something like
which
that?
they don't initiate, it's just
Well, you know what I mean, like,
a 911 call that
a
report.
911 call will call you guys out if it's a fire or somebody is,
Medical
or
emergency.
medical emergency.
Yep.
And so, are there a lot of times when that's how the state police end up in Groton? Because there's been a call like that, and our guys are there too because they're dealing with something else, or is that
Probably not.
not?
Probably not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have the breakdown of each individual complainant for the 100 calls that we've had here this year, but no, I mean, generally it's,
A variety.
yeah, I mean, neighbor disputes, family fights, domestic assaults, that type of thing.
Trying to understand, that's all.
People won't- people won't
And
know.
get it out there, because it's being videoed, and so anybody in Groton will be able to understand a little bit about what.
Right, and I feel like we've gotten kind of our answer, you know, we don't wanna hold you up and, so,
Well, listen, the state police is hiring.
If anybody's interested in a career in law enforcement, contact Officer Ballinger. He will connect you with the right
honestly, in
recruiting.
today's day and age, I don't know who would wanna do that. I get it, it's tough.
Well, here's a gentleman who does want to.
No,
And I'm sure for the
I'm
right
just saying,
reasons.
I have a lot of respect for what you guys
Thank you.
go through, so.
Appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you inviting me down here to talk about the state police. I wish I had a more positive outlook for you, but it is kind of challenging times. Our staffing is spread thin. We do the best that we can do with the limited resources that we have. And I fully recognize that not everyone is going to be happy just getting a return phone call a couple hours after they call. But I mean, it's not because we're sitting in a U-turn drinking coffee. We have other things that we're responding to.
Well, it's good for people to know, and to be able to understand, and understand why, and not just go around being pissed off.
So thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And let your officers know, we do have free Wi-Fi right out front. They can stop and check your email anytime they want.
Part time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Good point.
thank you.
It slows the traffic through town when there's a state police cruiser parked.
Okay.
Okay,
In the
good.
water.
Alright, so back on the constable.
So the appointed constable job description that we've got, it's a draft from Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
So Trevor Whipple really looked it over.
Yep.
And Jill from the HR at VLCT really looked it over, and this is the end result.
Good. Yep, I went through it all. It seemed well put together. And then the catch-all at the end, it says, not everything we expect you to do is written here. I think kind of covers
Now,
it.
has Mark seen any, have we?
Yeah, I showed him the first draft, and then I think
just
just
gave him
gave him a copy now to look
Okay.
at.
Okay.
But Carrie had gone over quite a bit
Which is, yeah,
a week or
thank you,
so
Carrie.
ago.
Yeah, thanks,
of
Carrie.
Really all the nitty gritty. But really good news is my mom found my dad's magnetic things for the side of the truck. So she brought them in, and Mark can have them when he goes to a house. They're in good shape, so they'll fit right on the side of your door. And Carrie found a ball cap that says
A
town,
baseball cap for
it says town of Groton Constable or something.
Groton Constable.
Yeah, Groton Constable.
It's adjustable.
Did you have a drafted appointment letter too? Did we have one of those
No.
together?
No,
So
no,
do we, so how are we gonna discuss,
Okay.
how do we,
So we're gonna, yeah.
with Mark and then,
And this would be appointed, and then you're gonna have to be elected at town meeting day.
Yeah.
So this one, essentially, I would just be appointed until town meeting day, and then it's gonna become a part of that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right, you don't have to have signs, you're
yeah,
gonna.
stand out front with a sign. and-
The select board can decide to appoint a constable at that point.
Yeah.
Be that way all the
To just
time.
be an appointed position.
So we could vote to make it an appointed, a solely appointed position, or does it have to be voted on by the?
I think it
I think it might have to be voted
March, I
on.
think it has
I
to be.
thought it could be an appointed.
It can,
We're gonna
it can,
vote.
but I think because it's an elected position, we would have to warn it at town meeting and vote.
It would be an article at town meeting
Correct, it'd be
day.
an
I
article
think we
to
should
vote.
consider that.
I think we should, absolutely.
For sure.
I think,
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because.
and then it would be an annual appointment that would go, we would then, yeah.
Is that a
So I think,
Yeah, so
I think that's
we should
something we should definitely
discuss.
keep in mind for March town meeting day would be to move this to have an article warned that would be moving the constable position from elected to appointed. Yeah.
And you're positive you have to do it
I
that way?
believe so.
Change it from elected
believe
to
We
so.
can check
appointed?
into it, but
Yeah,
I,
we'll
That was
double check.
part of the, that
Yeah.
was part of the July 1st law that changed. It said that select boards had the right to reduce the police power constable to a local constable. But if he was elected, then you get to appoint and then change it at town meeting
Correct.
through vote.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what they
so are we gonna make a motion to, is that what our next?
Well, I think we need to have a motion to accept to adopt the job description. And then we would then need to
Right.
Have a motion to appoint.
have a motion to appoint, which would follow up with an appointment letter to Mark that would then go, does it make sense?
Yeah.
Sort of? Is there any,
So should we have some discussion on this, Mark? About, are you,
I read through all of this and
do you have any questions or
Um,
concerns or like, anything you would like to discuss?
I think we had already come to the conclusion that carrying a weapon, real bad idea, not gonna do that. And I guess my questions really lie at where do I start and stop? Like what, at what point do you want me to disengage and just leave?
Before it gets to that point.
Before they pull out a gun.
Yeah.
so, I think one of the things that I would suggest is that I think we talked about this before, would be to make sure you got some sort of training through VLCT, that, what's out there for you when it comes to conflict resolution and de-escalation, those type of things that I think
Does VLT?
I don't know. I don't know what training they would offer for it.
Yeah.
Mark has had training in those fields.
Oh, okay.
Sort of, with the military, but.
Yeah. But I mean, I think part of it's, just when it gets to a point where you think that the situation is not
go.
in control,
Yeah.
to just say that you're gonna step away. Most of, I think, what this comes down to, it's a lot of, paperwork. You're gonna be delivering paperwork. You're going to be, looking at complaints. But I don't think there's anything that's gonna get to that point where
I
you're
had
gonna
this
have to.
webinar that Harold can pass down to.
And you're not there to yell at people and
Yeah.
blah, 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 and.
Yeah, that's what I would say, Mark. If you go out, you're going out for a purpose. You're going out to investigate a dog complaint or something like that, That's what you're there to do. Not to argue with somebody, not to sit there, you know what I mean? Like, you show up for a job. If they make it difficult for you, then we're not expecting you to sit there and fight with the people in town. You write that up in your report, was unable to, verify whatever because the, complainant was cooperative. We're not expecting you to go out and.
Even Jim, as a law enforcement powers person, wasn't going to get into a big, that's.
I can tell you that I responded to 27 dog complaints in the last 2 months, and there hasn't been any problems.
Yeah.
I mean, people basically will tell me yes, and then go right back to doing what they're doing, but, I mean, there's no issue.
And Dan is available too,
Yeah,
willing
I'll
to
assist you
go.
anytime you need help.
And vice versa.
Yeah, awesome.
There you go. I believe that when I read about it, there was a training course that a civilian constable could take, which once they were accredited, they could stop someone for DUI and bring them to a police station.
I wouldn't even start to get into that.
Yeah,
Because how do you stop someone for DUI
Well, what if
you're not a
somebody
police
calls and
officer?
says, I don't know, I'm bringing it up because
No.
it was
That's-
there and,
That's not something you want to get involved with.
I think the biggest thing is if you have cause to believe that there is additional criminal activity,
Then
that you
get
would,
a hold of.
it's not The biggest thing is it would not be your place to intervene specifically for your safety more than anything.
Right, yeah.
It's, let's contact a law enforcement agency appropriate for the situation. You know, obviously when you're enforcing town ordinances and things like that, there's, you know, parts that are involved, you know, that would be part of your job. But like, you know, if you saw somebody, you know, distributing drugs, you know, you don't need to go over and go, you're not allowed to sell drugs here. You know, let's call the state police and make sure they understand, you know, that you're in an official capacity as a witness to a crime.
Right.
You know, you may be called upon to go to court because you witnessed something like that, but it wouldn't be you wouldn't have the responsibility of breaking the
I'm a
law.
witness, not a responder.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we do have a body camera, so, I don't know, we talked about it. The only reason why we would be interested in having you wear it is if there was ever a problem, it's all on camera.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you're gonna be responding to something that you really don't know what you're getting into and whatever, and I don't know, we should probably discuss that
Yeah.
possibility
Some
that a
point,
body
maybe.
camera might be handy, because
It's been my experience that there's 30 cameras on you anytime you go out and do it. It's been my experience.
Yeah.
We have a badge too, I forgot to mention that.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Add it to the collection.
I think, you know, a couple of things that I want to make sure that we're clear on is, you know, what, I think we talked about this before and I just can't recall, but what, you know, how many hours are we thinking a week? You know, at this point, I'm thinking it's part-time as needed, and what does that look like from a pay perspective? I think we talked about that, but
We
I think
did,
we
but I
talked
don't
a
know.
little
if
bit
we
about
ever-
either doing like a monthly stipend with mileage pay,
Or hourly.
and then we can, I don't know, I don't know, we'll see what Mark thinks, but
I think that's a really difficult thing to gauge with it being kind of on an as-needed basis, because if it's hourly, I mean, I think that would be really good in my favor, because I get a complaint and go and deliver it, and it takes me 5 minutes, but I get paid for 2 hours. That doesn't seem like it makes any sense.
he said it, not me.
That's it.
So, and I looked at Newberry's town report, because they have a constable, and wanted to see how they paid him, and he gets $22.26 an hour.
Jeez.
Oh, am I getting?
Just,
We can make this full-time if you want.
but that,
I'm just
did we
saying.
ever look to see, is that?
He's gonna have a lot to begin with.
So I think
because-
somehow we're gonna have to start out with something. We're gonna have to do a stipend and
To get
see.
through this year's budget.
Yeah, see how it
He's got
goes.
57 unregistered dogs to start with, and that doesn't contain any of the dogs in my 27 complaints. That's just dogs that were registered to carry last year that haven't been
So you're
registered.
gonna be doing construction part-time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt should be real happy with that.
You should be finishing up.
Good, it's real slow right now, I'm sure, so.
So is there money left for law enforcement that you
Yes.
could just take the number of months between now and when that money is supposed to be used up and divide it or something like that? That's a thought anyways, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about
Yeah.
a certain amount every month, and then we can give
So what
mileage
would be
reports, get
fair?
paid mileage.
I mean, what do you guys think? What are we thinking? Like, are we thinking like
With,
$500 a month? We thinking, you know what I mean, like,
You want to be a constable, don't you?
you know, I'm just, we gotta
Yeah.
figure
Think of the
out
headache.
some.
That seems high to me initially,
Okay, so
but,
$250 a month.
I don't know, if
you
you knew about the complaints and the headache, I don't,
so
in my opinion, 500 seems,
We don't wanna
500
scare them off already, it hasn't even started
that's
yet.
$6,000 a year.
we're just talking right now.
Yeah, I know, but then, so what are we gonna then come April go, oh, well, we're paying you 500, but that, now we're paying you
So now we
350.
saw you times.
even then, thinking through, you know, I mean, we need to look, obviously, you know, we need to look at what does, through the end of the fiscal year, we've got enough funds to cover $500 a month. Just as an initial, starting point, maybe even $400 a month. And then, you know, maybe, Mark, what I would say, maybe we keep track of how many calls, how many hours you're working. Let's look at what that looks like, because maybe we need to say, you need to get paid an hourly wage, and it's, you're a part-time employee of the town, and you're spending, 4 or 5 hours a week, maybe it is, or, some weeks you're doing 20 hours because there's more to do, and other weeks you're only doing 2 hours, you know what I mean? So maybe it's something to look at, because I don't want to be unfair to you, especially if you're gonna put in your time, energy, and effort to helping the town.
And willingly.
And willingly, yeah.
Dan, what do you got a better beat on this? I mean, between you and Carrie know what would be required to Mark better than I think the board does.
I think Zach has a valid idea to go ahead and see, once the dog complaints get calmed down, then his calls will be a lot less. He's not gonna go to domestics.
No.
He's not gonna take it and do those other things. So the dog complaints are gonna be the big thing to begin with,
Yeah,
and then that'll sugar off.
yeah.
And then it may be neighbor or something, needs something looked at or something like that.
Directing traffic on fall foliage.
Directing traffic on fall foliage, things like that. That's what he's gonna be looking at, once they get the dog situation under control. I've
And
spoken.
dogs will slow down through winter too.
Oh, well, it'll slow down.
Till April.
And once Mark gets out there and he's actively pursuing these people that aren't paying, have their dogs registered or whatever, you're gonna see it change too, so. Our dog person per se right now is not interested in doing any investigations, is not interested in coming over and helping at all. She's interested in taking up to 3 dogs at a time at her kennel in Orange. And that's basically it.
Okay.
So we pay that woman, I think it's $500 a year
A year.
Yeah,
as a
and that's
stipend.
the houses.
Okay.
So
So,
we're just gonna set it as a stipend for the year for now. That's what it is.
yeah, I mean,
I think that's the best way to do it, set a stipend and then have Mark keep the records as to what he's actually got going into it.
yeah,
And then when you meet, say in November
For the budget,
meetings
yeah.
or whatever, then you can take a look at it and say, okay, we need to adjust this.
well, I think, in November, when we set the budget, we're gonna look at wages anyway, because that's part of the budget process.
Yep.
So I think, Mark, one of the things that, we're gonna ask you as the department head for the constable office will be, to help put together a budget, and obviously we'll help work with you, but one of the things we should really think about between now and November is how much time does it take, and, is a monthly stipend sufficient for that plus mileage? Or do we really need to look at, paying you for the time that you're doing? So if you are spending 4 or 5 hours a week, and, you're doing that, that breakdown doesn't really work for $500 a month.
Right.
So,
He's gonna do 5 hours a week easily the first probably couple months.
yeah.
So if we started out at like $3,000 for a stipend for the year and then adjusted accordingly,
3,000, we could do that.
So now we're not, so we're
Well,
already
but,
halfway through the year, so.
that's what I'm trying to
The next-
figure out.
the next 4 months,
How
I would
we
just
can
say,
adjust it
let's
correctly.
just say, for the remainder of the year, it's gonna be, for 4 months, it's gonna be $2,000. You know what I mean? It's $500 a month,
Right.
and then we'll evaluate it in June.
What do you think about that, Mark?
In November.
It's really about 4
I'm gonna do whatever you guys tell me to do.
Yeah, but we want to make sure that everybody's happy here,
No,
and that
I
it
think
makes
that's-
sense for everybody, and
I think that's very fair, and then over these 4 months, do kind of a study,
figure out what it does.
and we'll figure out really how much time I'm spending working for the town, and then we can adjust accordingly from there.
Okay.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
So, I'm gonna start with a motion to, approve the, appointed constable, the constable
Duties?
job description as presented from Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
second.
Okay. Any additional discussion on the job description? Okay.
I think Lisa did a good job getting it together, working with DLCC.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah,
Thank you, Lisa.
Yep. I think that it's very comprehensive and, I think,
It sets parameters well.
yeah, absolutely.
I think having Trevor Whipple over at DLCC is,
That's a good thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, all those in favor of approving the job description, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes.
And then there's the paper to sign.
Okay, yeah. So I think, well, obviously we.
Then what about our pay? How we gonna
Yeah,
do
that's,
our pay?
I
So,
can put that in the appointment letter if you let me know for sure how you want it.
yeah, we should lay that out in the appointment letter. And then what we'll do is we'll sign this. What I think we should do is wait for Mark to sign this until we've got the appointment letter to go with it.
Okay.
So that it's you sign off that you're accepting the position, and then you've reviewed this and you signed it. Does that make sense?
So do you want the appointment letter to be done at the next meeting, or do you want it to be done in the office?
We can just do it in the
I
office.
think it's in the office.
That's,
And do you want to appoint him right now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we're gonna do a motion to do that.
Just making sure.
Okay.
and you'll have the appointment letter done tomorrow by noon time?
Oh, well, I'll
9
work
a.m.
on it.
Just,
I'll work on it.
I'm messing.
I go to work at 6.
Oh, okay.
Might as well not try to get it until.
All right.
Okay, so I make a motion, can I do that, to appoint Mark Puffer as town constable, and I guess we're just doing town constable.
I do
not-
believe so.
Yeah.
First constable.
Okay.
Civil constable.
Civ- Yeah, I'm just trying to figure, is it civil
He's
constable,
first,
civil
he's
constable?
first constable
Yeah,
with
there's
no law
one
enforcement
set,
authority.
so-
Yeah, no kidding.
I'd say it like that.
You'd say like what?
First constable with no law enforcement.
First constable with no law enforcement duties.
I'll second that.
Authority.
Authority.
There you go. Authority. There you go. Okay. Any other discussion? I'll just say thanks, Mark, for stepping up.
Yeah,
I think
thank
this
you.
is,
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
you know, it's really appreciated.
He's gonna be the first one to call you when he has to stand in the road.
Yep.
So Mark, you have to come into the office to fill out payroll paperwork, and I'll have the appointment letter.
Yep.
If you can give me till, come in Monday.
Yeah, that's
That
no
would be
problem.
nice for me to
Alright.
get it done.
Cool. So all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. You're so forth appointed. And what we'll do is, I mean, obviously, we'll keep you in the loop for budget, and then as
What
we
does he
get.
have for a budget? What, like, for supplies?
Well, I
and
know, we
stuff?
talked about that, we'll look into some supplies and folders
Okay.
and binders and whatever you want to
Yeah,
keep
whatever
with
you
you.
need, yeah.
There's money there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just.
And then next year, we'll have a whole supply line for them.
Yeah, well, and I think we'll have to do a pretty significant, and maybe we need to do some of that before we do our budget meeting, but, you know, we're gonna need to figure out what the budget looks like for the first constable.
Well, I think it gives them like 2 good months to
Yep.
kind of
The
really
one
fill
thing
it out.
that he absolutely needs is a snap snare for catching dogs that are just loosing around that are not friendly.
Okay.
That's
But-
very-
Does that look like a bear trap thing you're talking
No,
about?
it's usually a 40, but you don't want him carrying, so.
Some people are gonna go out any.
All right.
Are you moving on now?
Hold on,
Some
Zach.
stuff?
Hold on, Zach.
Did you actually make the motion that the motion's been approved?
Yep,
Okay, I hear that.
yep, yep. Okay.
Okay. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think.
I don't know if it's an honor or.
Yes, it is.
You will, you will be here, Mark.
Well, we appreciate it because we really,
You
it's good. We
you
need
guys
somebody.
made the transition.
I
So far,
knew
did
it
it?
needed to be filled, and I feel like I could do well at it, so.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Well,
That's great.
Giving back to your community and
Yeah.
all those wonderful things.
My
I
dad
don't
would
want to
be
hear
proud,
from your
Mark.
dad if it doesn't go good.
My dad would be proud.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So you're gonna move on from law enforcement?
Yeah.
I just wanna say thank you for the opportunity to, work on this with you guys, and I think you did a great job, and.
Thank you for all the work and time you put into
Well,
this.
and I'm-
Yeah.
Really
And
appreciate
thanks
it.
Thank
for
you.
the work we did together, really proud to be part of it.
Keep peeling.
Thank you, look at that.
Wow.
Oh, I did make it on my own, less Marcus, you're taking me home.
All right, moving on, NEKCUD. Mike, I got your voicemail, but didn't get a chance to get back to it yet. I think I got the agreement. I think I just need to get it printed and sign it, and I think we're good to go there. I don't see any other issues.
Yeah, when I last spoke to Krista Shute, the NEK broadband director, it was like 2 weeks ago, she was gonna work in Gavin's
Okay.
language and send it, and then I thought I would be CC'd on it, but I didn't, so that's when I reached out to you about a week later and
Yeah.
just said,
Yeah, I saw it in my email. The first email I got from her showed up as spam, but then I saw
oh, is that right?
Yeah. Then the second one came through and it wasn't spam, so I've got it.
Yeah.
I'll try to get that done tomorrow if I can.
You know, what I would suggest, because I don't have it,
Yeah.
but Krista's assured me that she's worked in things, so you've got Gavin's little indemnification stuff, just make sure the language is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, can do.
Otherwise, I think we're in a position to sign it. They did a governor press release or press conference about a week ago to talk about the grant money that Groton, Peachum, all the ARPA communities, though $5 million in VCBB matching money got allocated last week, and the governor announced it. So Leo Ormiston provided this, one of the sort of background stories that was used in that press conference about impact on him and his family by getting broadband. So there's that, and then so it's just awaiting your signature.
Yep. So I'll take a look at that and.
I think everyone else is signed, but Rygate right now, and they may have. And I think the other issue is, the equipment, the OLT, optical line terminal equipment location.
Yeah. So there's some questions. I mean, since the meeting on July 7th, where we had looked at, so after the meeting, we had looked at some potential locations. It sounds like the size has increased again. What's the dimension that we're aiming?
I didn't hear that.
23 by 23 is what?
I heard up to 20, I mean, when Gary was here, it was up to 25 by 25, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm.
So that's too big for out there.
Well, that's
Way
what.
too big for our-
Well, so I had it in my head based off of the PowerPoint we had gotten that it was going to be 22.5 feet by 13 feet, and now it's 25 by 25.
So that, and there was only one box to begin with, and now there's two boxes, one of them going to South Reading.
all right, so where did the new information come in?
Which,
Well, how do we go from the last meeting,
The
20
paperwork we got from that
the
Karen.
paperwork that came back in
Yes.
between things? Okay.
She has yellow highlighted changes or red highlighted changes to the original information I didn't bring with me.
So we need to-
It changes the size and it says 2 cabinets.
Really look at
And it went from a 1,000 to a 2,000.
Okay.
So
somewhere else.
2,000s.
Well, I mean, the size of the building has always been, could be used for other things too, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think there has been an idea put out there on clearing space out behind the fire department.
Which that's a possibility.
yeah,
Still.
yeah, I mean,
That's
part of the problem with that is well, I mean, we're gonna clear a lot back here eventually when we start getting the drainage done. The problem being that we need to, if we're gonna incorporate that into that embankment, I would definitely suggest that Nate needs to be involved because he needs to understand how that gets included included into that plan. The biggest problem, all in all, with needing a concrete pad for this is the drainage. I mean, even putting it, if we were to put it over beside the building, it's, we have to get all of that kind of worked into the drainage plan, so.
Well, I talked to Nate for a second, and I told him about this cabinet idea, and he said that it should be on the outskirts of the property, as far as it can go.
Well,
Not-
we talked with Dan, from a zoning perspective, what's the offset, or what's the setback?
25 feet, yeah.
So you can't get these,
So
there.
You know,
50
with
feet
a
in.
25-foot building and a 25-foot offset, I mean, this is not what was discussed when you and I were out there, and we were talking.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, we had talked
What
about
about-
something that was oblong, it was,
Right, it was different, and it was only one cabinet, and I still don't know where this other cabinet headed to South Regate's coming from.
How much room's in the park down below, like over, how much park area does he have?
don't
Is
Yeah,
that-
I don't know, there's not a lot.
well, and the other thing too is, they need to have access to
They're
it.
gonna have access to
Yeah.
fix it. and-
There used to be a little hut down at the park next to the basketball. There used to be a little,
Yeah, but
Thing.
you're talking, a 25 by 25 is a pretty good sized structure.
yeah, I measured it.
So I guess I feel like we don't wanna waste a whole lot of time trying to figure this all out.
No, I mean, I don't think we're gonna.
But we need to go back to the drawing
Sounds like
board.
things have changed here,
Yeah.
and for
So-
some reason I had not picked up on it, and now it's doubled, and from when Karen was
Yeah.
at the last meeting, and understand exactly what's going on and what they need. What about the scenario of clearing out behind the fire department? Clear out 40 feet.
It's possible, but again, I think part of it is,
That's extremely wet there.
it's,
access.
I don't think that there's an issue with, I wouldn't necessarily see an issue with that if you did it right off the back corner of the fire department. The problem being, we need to address the drainage in order to do that. Because the one thing that you don't want with something like this is water running right through it. Because then it's electronics and electricity, and you don't want to.
Cause Peter had mentioned behind the fire station too for that building possibly, so.
If that's where it goes, like Harold said, it's all wet back there.
It's
all-
terribly wet
yeah.
back there, and it's gonna
and-
continue.
Well, I hope it's not going to be when we get done with this
It will.
drainage.
No, it's coming out of the ground, man.
You've got to go out there because
Yeah,
Well, no, it's not gonna all be, we're draining it, so it isn't.
Well, the drainage
Right?
plan would help. What it's going to do is take the water mitigation and push it from nothing, which is running through the grate right there on the
Right.
floor, and it's going to push it back 50 feet into the bank or further into that where the bank
you're
is
still
now.
gonna have water.
But we're still gonna bring the water down.
Yeah, well, the water's still going to run down.
Yeah.
It's just going to hit that drainage and drain properly away from the building. So, no matter what, there's going to be water back there. If the drainage is taken into consideration with building this, there will be a
You'll
catchment.
have to
for
do
that.
something because
So-
the way that water runs is in two different directions.
So I think-
I don't think we need, tonight
No,
trying to
no,
figure
no,
out
I
this
think-
whole thing.
I think if we wanted on this site though, I think probably one course of action would be to send the footprint to Nate and say, where can you cite this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, Mike, what I would suggest is,
Setbacks.
yeah, so Mike, what I would suggest is,
Well, Blake's gonna check and.
yeah,
see
confirm what the actual size is, what it looks like. 25 by 25 is pretty good size, which is not what we were, originally aware of.
But it started off as 10 by 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it grew pretty good.
yeah.
But then it went.
Is that like the fish that started on this thing? So what is it really gonna be?
I'll reach out to Karen.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'll understand exactly.
Yep.
Okay, and try to get an understanding of what has led to the inflation,
Okay.
size inflation. And then it sounds like we need something for Nate.
So I think the first step is let's confirm what the physical needs are for the cabinet to start. And then we need to take that and get that to Nate, and I think Aaron has a good point. Nate, where do we put this?
Cite this on the plan.
Where can we cite this into the plan?
Because I'm sure, like Nate pointed out, he wants it on the edge because he's trying to drain things and having 25 by 25 flat square in the middle of where he's trying to
Yeah.
drain doesn't work with
Yeah,
what he
fair
wants
enough.
to do.
Yeah.
So,
So I think that's the first two steps, and then we need to go from there. Otherwise, if this, this has always been the primary site, the question is, I mean, you guys looked at a few other sites.
Right.
Is there an alternate, is there an alternate place where we can put this that isn't here? If that doesn't fit in with, if Nate looks at it and says, this isn't gonna work here, we have to think of another place for it.
Yeah, okay,
Okay?
Thank you.
clear to me, yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks, Mike.
Do you need to make any motion or something by signing that contract, or?
No,
Just-
we already did, it's just a
We
matter of,
approved.
we approved it a while ago.
Okay.
It's just a matter of me signing it once
Yeah, it was
we incorporate it.
Okay, thank
We
you.
just needed to incorporate what Gavin had suggested and make sure it was good there, so.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, infrastructure project updates. Have you heard anything about easements? Have we,
I've talked to, I heard from Nate in that, he sent all the right-of-way information to Gavin, and he's just waiting. It's all on Gavin to
Okay.
finish it.
okay,
And, tomorrow I'm working with Nate on the application for the USDA. We're gonna do it by Zoom,
okay.
and hopefully that will work.
Okay, so that's good. I can always send an email to Gavin and just check in to see where he stands on
Yeah, he
those
doesn't seem to,
right-of-way
I
easements.
think he wants to hear directly just from you, so.
Who's
yeah,
that?
Gavin, so if you could check up on him.
Yeah,
Good, thank you.
I can do that. All right, highway?
Everything seems to be pretty good. Haven't heard from the mower guy. I've tried contacting him and his voicemail box is full.
Is he mowing?
Not mowing yet. He hasn't even signed the contract yet. So I emailed his, I believe, secretary.
I'll check in with him. I'll check in with him this week.
Well, tell him I got his contract at the shop. I don't remember her name, but she's the one that sent the quote to me.
Okay.
So I emailed her this morning saying, I'm trying to get a hold of him, I have his contract and whatever.
I'll check it over, I'll see what's going on.
Okay.
I'll rattle his cage a little bit. You got your cold patch, you did your,
Yeah, we did the hot patch.
That went
on
good?
Leonard Hill. Pretty fair. We had some big trucks driving over the hot mix and farm tractors, and so it's not perfect, but it's way better
so
than
you're
it
saying
was.
it's all their fault?
Well, we're trying to get it done before the mix got cold in the truck. So we opened up the other side of the road that we already did, and people gotta go through.
Right.
And loaded cement trucks, and
It is what it is.
so it's better than it was.
Okay. Good.
Having a tough time getting chloride. I called a week and a half ago, still haven't got a load yet. It'll be one of those commodities that are hard to get.
Which, at the end of the day, just dust, not like drinking the end of the world, yeah, so.
But-
That's it.
So I'm not grading until I get some more chloride.
Okay.
So if you get complaints, you can just say, we're waiting on chloride.
I don't know. I don't hear any of those, but yeah, that's fine.
That's about it.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Awesome. Treasurer?
Okay, so the tax rate is. Thank you. And the insert that we put in with the tax bills, I'd just like to have your blessing on that. So if you turn it over, it's double-sided. It will show you the, bottom line 2022 tax rate compared to the previous years or below it.
So it's less, which we know it's less, but next year it's gonna hurt, is what
Yeah.
it's coming down to.
Okay.
which is an unfortunate part.
Because we're using 100,000 from the fund balance is why this
Which
rate
in a way-
is looking good, but we're gonna have no fund balance next year, most
Kind
likely.
of split that up, so maybe.
Or the fund balance we have left will be what we've already allotted to use for drainage, so
Yeah.
Okay.
be much over
So
that.
no fund.
No fund balance, which
It's
means
not
that,
earmarked.
Definitely less fund balance,
Right,
I'd say.
so it's gonna, next year's gonna be a big
okay.
increase.
To make some budget adjustments.
Well, I mean, everything's gonna be up anyways for
Yeah.
next year, I mean,
Yeah.
we have to really at this point, so.
And we sent it to the auditor, she's on break this week, but we like to have her review it, to make
Right.
sure we're doing this correctly with the
And it
use of
looks
fund
good.
balance.
Carrie, I stopped in this afternoon and she explained it all to me, cause I got the one I printed with no of the.
It's a little blurred.
Yeah,
There's
watermarks, I think, is what you have to click to get it.
no, nothing was in the little boxes.
Yeah.
What was I supposed
I'm
to
like,
know?
what, so it looks cute, but I don't understand what any of that means.
Yep. How many acres does the state pay for pilot for their building and land?
I'd have to look it up.
Not much.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious what, I mean, the acreage is almost 50% or more than 50% of the,
It's 49%.
49, yeah.
and they're paying $80,000 a year in taxes on that.
Oh,
Or
this has been going
payment
on
in lieu
for
of
a
taxes.
long time. If that was land, you would get, yeah,
Tax rate, we
you
all
can't
over.
change that.
We could
You think
put
you
20
can?
more houses down the backside of the lake.
Have you ever messed with the state?
I'm trying.
Well, somebody's got to do it. If you don't do nothing,
We have
nothing
enough
happens.
to We're worried about fighting with the state.
We don't have to.
Well, sure.
I don't have to either.
And then he brings it to us and we go, you're right, Zach.
I might just have to send an email or two.
Like you don't have. Do you need some more hours at your work?
No.
So,
Okay.
so I need you to sign the bottom approving the rate, and also that part about the late homestead filing penalty has to be asked every year, and we've always applied the late fee
Okay.
for filing.
So do we make a motion to
I don't
do this,
know,
or
we
do
made
we
motions
just?
before, it can't hurt, because I can't remember if we're supposed to. have
Motion to
Approve the tax
the
rate.
tax rate. So I make a motion that we approve the tax rate, which is
For 2022.
for 2022. And the tax rate, 1.9847.
That's right, for homestead rate, yep.
Correct.
And then non-resident.
2.0963 for
Yep.
tax.
$19.85 per thousand assessed value.
Correct.
What was that?
$19.85 per 1,000
So
assessed value.
I'll second the motion.
That's for residential.
Correct.
Any discussion on the tax rate? I think the only thing to mention in the minutes, just because then it's on record, is that the pilot receipts for land are significantly lower than what they ought to be. It's those figures haven't been adjusted by the state in decades and ought to be reviewed. Not that anybody at the state reads our minutes anyway.
No, I doubt
So
it.
which one do we need to sign?
Well, just
Any
sign
one
one
of
of them, they're all the same, so just
Oh, I
sign.
marked on mine.
Oh,
so-
I haven't marked mine, so. Only Wade Johnson can sign these little.
Yeah, this spreadsheet is a bear to print, so that's why it's very tiny.
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, wait, all in favor?
Say aye.
Aye. All right, we sign.
Call. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are cute, but I'm not that cute.
Okay, John.
He was at the bottom.
Okay, and then if you can look at the insert that's just right behind you, it's basically just, it's the same as last year, but it's just changing the date. You know, we don't accept postmarks.
Yep.
Looks fine.
Looks good. Hours.
You know, we recommend having the exact change. if they come in with cash, because we don't have change. We don't have cash.
Oh, I can't pay cash.
You can, but you have to have exact.
Oh, they'll take your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you bring it into them.
Do you accept pennies?
And- Well, yes, they
As
have,
long as
Put
it's
them-
exact.
Exactly, that's how it would go.
yeah, believe me.
So they're rolled count them out, right?
Um,
Reminder to have a debit office, credit debit,
No, I think this all looks really good.
Okay.
please.
So I plan to print the tax bills on August 30th and then mail them September 1st.
Okay.
I was
Which is
supposed,
which is Thursday, right? First.
yes,
Okay.
that's the next meeting.
So yours won't be mailed, it will be sitting right
It'll be
there.
right there when they come in.
It'll get mailed anyway, my mortgage company takes care of that.
I think we still give you one.
Yeah, I know.
Then you send it to
They
them.
enjoy it.
I have to write a check.
Last meeting, I spoke about the rec grant that we got in 2017 that I fiddled around with the lady in state of Vermont. And we're able to find receipts to get credit for the $3,500, and I needed to check how we paid for the work, and it was out of the reserve community building improvements. So I just want your blessing to put the $3,500 back into the reserve community building improvement.
Correct.
That
Yeah,
seems like the appropriate place to put it.
That
Okay.
does, yes.
All right, good. I handed out budgets, we're at 59%, so you should have all those to look at. It is time to talk about when we're going to have budget day. Is that, Tristan, it's been Saturdays, what we've been doing
First day of
for,
hunting
so it's
Yeah.
either
We're gonna do it
November.
on November 5th.
Definitely not.
No,
I think a Monday would
because
be
that is
really
the
good,
day
that
after
first
of a
Monday.
hellish week of collecting taxes.
Okay.
What about the 19th? The 12th or the 19th? What?
It's the middle weekend of
Saturday.
hunting season.
No!
You don't hunt?
Weekend.
You don't hunt?
Huh?
Do you hunt?
Yeah!
Okay.
I won't be here.
Then come up with another day then. It's been Saturdays.
Why is it Saturday?
It's all day.
It's an all-day
takes
affair.
a
Why do you
long
want to ruin a good Saturday?
Just shoot. Starts at 8 a.m. gets
Yeah.
done at
You
3.
still, why would you want to ruin a good Saturday? I pulled out through the whole hunting season, so I missed it.
I don't have a problem with taking time off of work in the first 2 weeks of November to do it during the day,
I go,
unless you want to do it.
Yeah, I don't. I'd rather,
I mean,
as much as it's a pain, I'd rather do it on a Saturday.
you do it on a Saturday.
Yeah. You get out in the afternoon, Tristan, if you're quick. Or like Mark says, tag out the first day.
Check my schedule.
first day, if you
I
had it
can't,
the
I
first
can't
day.
imagine giving up a Saturday deer season in
Well-
Vermont for a budget.
It's labor of love, man. It's a labor of love.
I think
That's ridiculous.
I'd be okay with the 19th, I think.
Sunday I'd give up.
I don't care, really. I just need a date so I can.
I'm available Monday through Friday.
Me too.
Me
It's
too.
just, you all work not here.
Yeah.
So I just want to do whatever's easiest for you guys.
Well,
I don't think we could get it done in an evening.
I think too, I mean, I want to make sure that it's a meeting that is open to the public to attend, and I want to make sure that if there are people that would like to attend.
Oh, Saturday's always a good day to do it on, is that what you're thinking here?
I'm thinking Saturday. Saturday. I mean, I'm open to whatever.
I'm all right with November 19th.
Yeah, the
Unless we want to
19th.
do like 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night.
I'm all right with November 19th.
I'd rather not do it later in the evening because
You guys, jeez. Perfectly good. I can't even imagine that.
let's do it on a Tuesday.
I'm already
from
not feeling
4
good.
o'clock to 12. I mean,
All right, if you guys want, if that's.
We usually get lunch somewhere, so.
Lunch, yeah, lunch.
Yeah, free lunch.
well, if he gets a deer on opening day, we can just.
Well,
I don't get a deer on
So-
opening day, I see.
What's on the last day? So, no, I take time off from work so I get my deer the first day, and then I've got time off to do it.
Okay,
The
November
first
19th.
year I get to go.
November
I
19th.
spend-
All right, that's what we plan on.
No Christmas trees this year, we're not doing Christmas trees. I wouldn't normally be able to do it on the weekend because I'd be doing Christmas trees, but this year I'm not, so.
This year, you're a select board member, so you have a priority to be here.
Where's that letter for resigning as a select board member?
Copy of mine.
Okay.
Okay,
Fine.
so I guess that's it for me. I have stuff, other stuff when we get to maintenance.
Do we want to do policy updates?
Oh, policies, yeah, oh my God. Yes.
Don't forget that one.
You have been working on those.
I have been working on the policies, oh my gosh.
Okay.
So I gave you a pack to review over the
Yeah.
weekend, so we could be in good shape for tonight's meeting. So,
That's about my only food there.
just kind of put together the box. These are all the ones that we need to review.
Okay. And we
Pass
got
that to Tristan.
we got a handful right here to do.
Yeah, so, first one would be like town property, community building use, policy. That hasn't gotten updated in a couple years.
I don't have that one here though.
I don't think I do.
We only have credit card policy.
Alright, I thought I put it in.
Well, how about we adopt the 4 that we had
Okay,
looked
alright.
at? If you guys look them over.
Yeah, because we have just these 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Credit card, accounting, auditing, and finance, reporting policy, cash receipts, petty cash, and check policy, and the personal use of social media policy.
okay, so electronic sign, is that the one you want to do first? Do you have
That wasn't in there.
That wasn't there either.
Oh my God, I think I worked, I think we did do that this week, so.
That's a new one anyway, right?
Yeah, that would be a new one, and I talked to,
Let's do these 4. Let's adopt these 4 tonight.
That one's pretty simple, though.
that is like two
I think that one would be an easier one too, but, so for the 4 that we've got, we'll start with credit card policy. What changed here? I mean, I'm reading this, it all sounds great, but is there anything in particular that,
I didn't go through and highlight, but, what
You
is
just-
actually changed, but we mirrored VLCT back in, well, it was a 2010 policy. So it's basically the same, except it's saying who the card holders are.
We took out where it said that you guys would decide the limit on the credit card, well, the credit card company decides that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That seems silly.
And, the credit card use was the same thing, security, just keeping it, being responsible and documentation. And I think that's it, that was the only thing.
okay.
So the last time we had updated it, it was a 2010 policy from VLCT, but we updated it in 13. So now I thought I had the date on the bottom for
So
August.
the only 2 authorized credit card holders are the treasurer and clerk?
Right now, yeah.
Okay.
Whether the selectmen don't get cards?
Would you make
You can change it.
This is your
Yeah,
policy.
this is yours to change. It's fine.
Should the highway have a card? I mean, I don't know.
No.
Okay, there we go. That makes it easy. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about Job Oil.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do have a gas card. I got a gas card from Jock Oil. We get all our diesel fuel and heating fuel from Jock Oil.
Yep.
With P&H closed,
Yep.
I called Jock and got a gas card so we can go down and use their pumps in Wells River.
Okay.
It's 24 hours a day, which is pretty
I'm gonna
handy.
ask this question again, how come we're driving all the way to Wells River to get gas versus buying it at the local gas station?
You know why I won't go there.
That seems ridiculous, to be
Well-
quite honest with you.
What's the price right now at Upper Valley Rail General Store?
It's gonna be higher than what he's getting.
Well, that's, yeah.
The law.
But it's the point of supporting our local business as a town.
No, I get that, but I would say the
Should be a two-way street. You should take, give us a break if we're gonna take as a town, go there and buy diesel.
I would,
But we're not buying diesel fuel there, the only thing you buy is
So we
gas.
buy all the diesel fuel from Jock, so what's the difference? I mean,
The point is you gotta drive all the way down to Wells River, Vermont to get gas versus drive 2 seconds to the store to get gas. And you can send Philip up to the store if we don't wanna go in the store, is my opinion.
good, but enough.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this financially speaking, what's the price that, I mean, are we getting a specific
I think I just got the bill, I think it was $4.65
a gallon?
a gallon,
And,
and that's certainly not what
no, well, I think even P&H is $5.19 a gallon right now. They just opened up their diesel pumps.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we're talking gas versus diesel.
But, you got, wait,
Gas with a ton truck.
Gas,
gas in a ton truck,
right,
okay,
ton truck,
not
small
diesel,
engines and stuff.
gotcha. Okay,
Small engines, you're not using ethanol free.
We've been going through a lot of, I mean, for my chainsaws and stuff, I do use ethanol free. But for like our blower, I mean, that thing really likes the gas. So I just been running regular.
Gas.
Okay, so back to a credit card
so
policy?
so I guess the question is then, I mean, I would, if we're gonna have a gas card,
Well, we
does
have
that
a P&H card and it's never been in the policy, so.
well, is it a credit card?
no, it's a gas card. You can
Just a
only
gas,
get gas.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I know, I'm just making sure that I understand. It's not you can't buy DEF with it, you can't buy anything else, you can just get diesel or gas with it.
But you can get gas in your personal vehicle with a town gas card, right? Per se.
So which means
Not
that I would
Somebody
say,
does that.
I guess
It's like
gas,
we could take the town credit card and go shop.
well, but those gas cards too, he uses the gas card, do we get an invoice from them? The same as a credit card, so use the same way.
Right.
I would say
They
that,
write down mileage and everything when we get gas, or do we not do that?
They don't, there's no way to do it.
No. So we don't keep record of any of that? Like, we don't keep track of
You're not required
fuel
to.
and your vehicles or?
Well, our diesel we do at our pump.
Okay.
But, I mean, you want me to keep track of how many hours I'm putting on the blower when I'm putting gas in?
Absolutely. For sure, you should write that stuff down.
I mean, yeah, there's no real requirement to, because we're not leasing any vehicles.
All right, well,
but-
yeah, and it's fine, we don't need to like.
Yeah. No,
do this overall.
I would suggest though, a gas card used as a credit card would be used for, I think it would still require him to be an authorized user on the credit card policy. So that, you know, obviously if he has that as a card holder, he needs to follow this policy with the gas card, because it's used the same way as a credit
So
card.
then the whole title could just be credit card and gas card policy.
I think you just call it a credit card policy. I mean, technically it's credit. I mean, you're still getting an invoice after the fact. It's going on the card and you're getting an invoice after the fact. That's exactly the way a credit card works.
Well, that's the same way Fogs works and Fisher Auto Parts work, and, I mean, we have an account in all these different places, and then he gets a slip, drops it off with the PO, and then I get a statement and reconcile. So it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's why I would say that for credit card policy, it should apply the same way for the gas card as it would be for credit. I don't necessarily know you need to change the policy name, but I mean, I don't know.
You would just add road commissioner.
You just add road commissioner to it, yeah. That's what I would say. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You're the only one that has the card, or does Philip have access to it as well?
Well, everybody has access. I mean, it's hanging up in my office.
Right.
You know, if I'm not here, so Philip should be on there too.
Yeah, it's anybody
Road
that,
crew, just say.
Yeah, road,
I'll put
yeah.
names in.
Yeah, because that could cover temporary help too, if Harold's out for 2 weeks.
okay.
Or
well, I mean, I guess the question is, if we're establishing this policy, if we sign off on it, we don't have to have each one of you acknowledge the policy specifically, because it's an employee policy at that
Yes.
point.
It is.
So,
Well, I'll have to do the adjustments anyways, so it's formal,
Yeah.
and I
Take off
can,
the name.
I
so
can
you
take
just
off
take,
our names.
yeah, you just take your names off and then
Okay,
that's, okay.
okay, so I'll
That's
adjust
easier.
that. Okay, and then the next one is what cash receipts, petty cash, and check policy.
Sure, yep.
So a few of those things, there was a couple that I merged together because they were redundant. we had a treasurer's check acceptance policy, and I just put it into this one policy. So it's,
Okay, yep.
so it just talks about, the purpose of cash receipt policy is to establish proper management practices over cash checks and other receipts in order to instill public confidence in the town operations. And it just talks about authorized personnel, proper payee, the receipts, safeguarding funds, preparing and depositing funds. Each person depositing funds must submit a spreadsheet or a NIMIC report totaling the deposit. Treasurer will count, deposit, petty cash. Yeah, we have a locked box that has very little money in it. It's just to make change. It never changes. It's always,
It's not a true petty cash.
it's
more like
just a change box.
Loose change.
Yeah.
$58 and it stays $58 every
Yeah.
time.
Just miscellaneous bills and coinage and.
If somebody brings a 10 and
It
it's
needs
only
it.
$5 they owe, you
And
gotta make money.
$5 back.
I just wanna, the only other thing I wanna make clear with the petty cash is the fire department who does their coin drop at fall foliage, that does not apply to this policy because it's part of the
Corporation.
Incorporation.
corporation.
We don't get that money.
Correct,
So,
which is
yeah,
separate,
Separate.
just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
said, it's separate from
right.
town coffers. Yep.
So it just talks about check acceptance, how they can't be post-dated checks, and then it talks about the check is received incorrectly, filled out, and also post-dated checks, if people, this has happened a few times, people write a check for November 5th, with the day that taxes are due, and they send it October 1st. Well, I'm not hanging on to that check till November 5th. It's legal to deposit it the day I receive it. The day they sign it is the day it's legal, not any date that they
Right.
put
Gotcha.
on. So that was on a different policy, so that's why it's merged with this one. So I think that is all good to,
Oh, okay. So return checks, the fee for return checks is what the bank, is determined by the bank.
Yeah.
At the time of the.
whatever
return
we
check.
get charged, we'll charge
Gotcha.
off to the
Yep.
taxpayer. Or
Gotcha.
whoever writes a check for whatever reason.
That makes sense, that way, if it goes up, it goes up.
Interchange.
Yep.
And if the same person repeatedly writes a check, then, they're not gonna be able to write checks anymore. It's the last sentence.
Yep.
I think
Would we,
we had a situation at one time.
yeah, would we report them to law enforcement, the first constable? For,
Maybe.
well, I mean, it would
Yeah,
actually probably be state's attorney or somebody, it wouldn't go.
County attorney.
Yeah, county attorney, it would go there for somebody that writes and bounces checks a lot often.
Right,
I think someone else.
'Cause that's
will take
illegal.
care of that, too.
right.
Yeah,
Get ready for my little checks.
that's right. So is this one,
That one's fine.
I'm content with it.
Yeah.
Tristan's good with it. Got one.
I have all the names on
yeah, this
Yeah.
one's, what's that?
Got one policy signed so far.
it? Oh,
Yeah, that's all.
right. So, accounting and
Yep.
auditing and financial reporting.
Yep.
So this had a few as well. That were,
First one, the credit cards.
She's got, no,
We gotta read
she's
it.
got to make some changes. So,
Oh, for the.
It already started.
just,
so accounting, auditing, and financial reporting has the purpose, the accounting, the auditing, and we had to update all this because we don't have town auditors, and auditing is done by a firm.
Third party.
And also the way our accounting is, for cash basis, that had to change in the policy. And it also talks about although all members of the select board should examine and sign weekly orders, a single signature by the appointed select board member shall be deemed sufficient to authorize by the select board to pay those on warrants produced by the treasurer. That's significantly for the payroll.
Yep.
So we're not holding up payroll.
Yep.
So like Monday, somebody should be coming in to
Yep.
sign, so everybody gets paid on Wednesday. And then just a reminder that email is the primary tool used for communication.
Okay. Looks good to me.
Looks good to me.
All right.
Good to me.
Okay.
Use
and-
of social media.
Yeah, so this one is what VLCT sent. So you might want to read this over. This would be new.
There's a good thing, there's a good party.
This really applies to town personnel, town officials, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
It's not your select board meeting. Co-workers, bullying, harassment.
It says Harold can't get on there and say, it's the opinion of the road commissioner that the select board's screwing this town all over. He can get on there and say, it is the opinion of Harold, my personal opinion, that he is doing it.
Problem is, no matter where I go, I'm the road commissioner, I'm not just Harold Hatch.
Well, that's not true. If you go to any other town or
Then he's Groton.
So, I mean,
town or state, they don't.
this specifically indicates employees. That does not necessarily apply to elected officials, does it?
Well, we all signed a policy that says we're in the employee policy that we would be considered an employee. And
Right,
Other
so-
than those few things.
The three of you and Philip,
No,
He's an employee.
Yes, right, sorry.
so that would be the four of you, right? It doesn't apply to,
Well, yeah, it would apply to Nicole, it would apply to anyone, anyone getting paid by the town,
Yeah.
yeah.
you guys.
I would recommend that we update it to say employees and elected officials of the town, because I think it needs to be, so if there's ever a question, because there will be,
Okay,
but that's specifically indicated.
sure.
Does that make sense?
Okay, so I'll adjust that. And then, Highway had a couple that I just wanted to review, like, Harold does, the certificate of compliance for roads and bridges every year, I believe, and so we have the one from April 7th of 2022, so that, I think we have to do every year, is that correct? And then I found in this policy book, back in February of 2020 was the last time that we did town road and bridge standards, and I don't know if that needs to be updated, but it.
Well, I mean, the select board signs that every year.
Right.
So this kind of goes behind this
Yeah,
after
it
it's
goes with
signed?
that.
Okay,
yes.
so,
That's why I use both of them.
okay, but this is on 20 and this is 22.
Right, that list out, that's a bigger list. It's just, after that, it's just agreeing that we have adopted it.
Okay, all right, so we don't need to look at that.
Does not tell.
It's all set. What?
So
Yeah,
the bigger one doesn't have to get
updated.
only,
I mean, next year, the select board will have to sign that same thing again.
just saying that we
Just that
have.
one,
That we
not
have
all
adopted.
this. Okay, I just wanted clarity.
Electronic sign use policy.
You want to read that one? That seems pretty quick.
Sure,
Exactly.
yeah. To inform the public about community events. Okay, town select board members, town clerk, and treasurer are the authorized personnel. Objective to raise awareness of positive community events. this electronic device is a bonus informational tool for community outreach. It's pretty simple.
Perfect. Looks good. Looks minimalistic.
So,
So you can build off of it if you have to. I wouldn't anticipate.
I mean, I would suggest that the policy statement should be, following this, should be something along the lines of, any information to be put on the electronic sign should be approved by the select board, or something along those lines. I mean, obviously, if we want to put dates for tax, tax dates and, all of those things that were put on there, the roads are closed and things like that, I mean,
Happy Mother's Day.
yeah, that kind of stuff. We should be, I think we should have an approvals process laid out in this policy, so it should be approved. It has to be approved by the town clerk. And
What is it, does it
Doesn't
say
say anything.
authorized or?
it just says authorized personnel. It doesn't really.
Authorized personnel for approval.
Okay,
You took a nice simple one and you had to.
It's too simple.
okay, all
I
right.
mean, I just think maybe
Sure.
adding something there, so if somebody says, I want to put this on the sign, and we say, well, no, you can't, because it says, don't elect Harold Hatch road commissioner.
Right, so the
Sorry, we're picking on
policy is
Harold
there.
tonight. But, you know what I mean, like, that,
Okay, I'll update.
they could go, well, the policy says that
It has
it's,
to be approved by the select board.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you see, don't think you read one line there at the bottom.
This,
Informational,
Tool.
yeah, this electronic device is a bonus informational tool for community outreach.
Nothing's required to be put on the sign.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want someone to say, oh, you didn't put on this, and I don't want it to be something we're tied to do
Correct,
it.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
makes
Nothing
sense.
is required or mandated, has to be on
Correct.
sign for bonus information.
And I think there's nothing wrong with putting that, that this is, exactly that, I mean, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think it's just making sure that if somebody says, well, I want this on the sign, and we say, well, no, that's negative, it
Yeah.
doesn't meet the standards that we're talking about, and the policy is this, they can go, well.
So what did you jot it down on that?
I didn't jot, I'll jot something down then. I'll look at it and jot something down.
Okay, so I guess that is it for,
Yep, and then you had a community building use policy. Do you want to just give us copies to review for next meeting?
yeah, fine.
Okay.
Okay, so
We'll
we'll,
leave it there to pick.
Thank you for all the hard work you've been.
Here's another one, I know.
No, thank you for all the hard work you've been doing.
All right, believe me, this is a task.
Yeah.
It's pretty daunting, but I think we're
Okay.
gonna feel really good when it's done. Because
Yeah.
everything will be merged together and it'll be less policies. It's gonna be good.
so, okay,
Okay, so I think I'm done for that. We'll just work on I'll adjust these other ones and I'll work on getting you copies of the community building. And then I had a little schedule, but maybe, should we,
yeah, well, I think we stick to that, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that looks okay? All right.
Because the ones that need updating can just leave in the folder, you guys just sign with the updates. And then
Yeah.
Should be able to.
next meeting
Yep.
should be the.
I mean, I think, do you guys agree with that?
But that's the one that's signed.
Yep.
Did you get who the other one was?
No, I
The
don't
statement was
have-
made that when the policies get updated, we can just sign them. Because
Yeah.
the changes will be made that
Yes.
we wanted made.
And that's the other one that's signed, that are good to go. Yep. All right. Town clerk. Oh, is there anything else?
No,
Lisa,
I'm
that's it? Okay.
Thank you.
I was just gonna touch on the primary election again. I know you read my thing last time. So that's this coming Tuesday, August 9th, 10 to 7. Requests have come in, it's pretty much winding down. Most everyone has returned the ballots they requested. A reminder that everyone gets 3 ballots, you vote on 1, you still gotta return the other 2. Even up
When is that election? When's the election?
Tuesday.
No, the actual election is in November. The midterms are-
Oh, but the deadline.
This is just.
This is the primary
Primary
election,
for,
is Tuesday. So even when you come in person, you're gonna still get handed all 3 ballots.
and
Only fill out one.
Only fill out one.
I mean, you can fill out all three, but you can only put one in.
Yeah, put one through the tabulator. So they're hearing from tabulator, we tested it, everything went probably 99.9% smooth. It's a little pickier on reading write-ins. And this election, there's a lot of spaces for write-ins. So I'm gonna say it here and have signs there to print in capital letters if you wanna write, because anything that's hanging down below the line is getting picked up as an ambiguous mark and it's rejecting. It's not counting, it sends it back to you. You can look at it, the screen will even say what it saw. I know, it's so
Just makes
annoying.
a lot of work.
Chads again,
Yeah, so,
you got some white out in the end?
so I think if everyone writes in capital letters, nothing will hang under the line. So that'll be one thing, hopefully go smooth.
Did you maybe make a thing too to put in the voting
Yeah, I
booth
have
so
them ready to be made.
that, just like a
printed.
half sheet that shows that maybe, because then.
Yeah, I have it saying, and you gotta use the pens that we provide you, and no bringing your own pen and pencil or anything, so see how that goes.
Yep.
The other thing that gets confused during the primary is people want to, I'll give you the perfect example. I choose to vote on the Democratic ballot, but I want to write in Phil Scott for governor. He's on the Republican ballot. Because you like him, but you're a Democrat and you want to vote for all those other people, so you write in Phil Scott. Just want to make it clear, Phil Scott does not get that vote. Phil Scott on the Democratic ticket gets that vote. They do not get added together to help Phil Scott on the Republican ballot
You
to
get,
win.
if you write Phil Scott in on the Democratic ballot, you are putting a write-in.
You're putting
vote.
one vote for him to
One
run as
write-in
the Democratic candidate for governor.
Not
Not
towards his
Republican.
Republican
That's what it
ticket.
should be in.
That's where he's running. But, you know, that's just one example, it could be other people. So I just want people, you're really doing 3 separate elections. So worry about voting for Phil Scott or whoever in November when there's your choices and you can pick him. You're not taking multiple ballots, you're having the one ballot with everyone combined. So take one ballot, vote your Democratic people or vote your Republican people or your progressive people, because the votes are not combined across ballots.
Correct, because it's a primary, it's
Right.
not
Right.
General
a
election.
general election.
I think that's it for that election. We're gonna set up Monday. Ask you guys to come count, which shouldn't be too bad, with the tabular tape. And I think that's it for election. I sent in the fall foliage parade permit. The person is of course on vacation, so check in with them again next week. And I gave Mark that dog webinar. I know it's during the day. It's on the computer.
I'll see what I can do.
And you can let me know and I can I'll register you. So
Yep.
just let me know if that works out. It just happened to come through and I thought, well, it'd be good timing, but not the timing of the webinar, but good timing for you to take the class.
Right, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it's gonna rain that day anyway.
August 23rd, yeah.
And one other oddball thing we were dealt with the last couple of days or a couple of weeks is the phone number for the delinquent tax collector of delinquent taxes, has been somehow scammed and is, I guess, making calls all over like New England, New York City. New England and New York City, because we've gotten multiple calls. Actually, maybe even Florida, I think one guy was
Yeah.
from. They call it back and they're very
Very
annoyed.
mad.
And they're saying, you know, why do you keep calling me? Why do you keep calling
You
me?
pay the damn taxes.
So, you know, after it happened so many times, and I talked to this nice old man, and he goes, oh, you called me? You know, it's hard. I'm like, no, I didn't. Sorry. So we got the phone number, Lisa called today, we got the phone number changed. So I've updated everywhere, I think.
So we still have that message if you want to hear it. It's a lot of,
Very interesting.
a lot of language. Yeah,
Right from
it's
New York
quite-
City.
Right from the Bronx.
Colorful, huh?
Yeah, it's very colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get that from
I
me.
feel really bad because I'm
Yeah.
sure it is very annoying. We've all got those calls. But that is, I believe, the end of what I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Assistant Assessor, we got correspondence from Dorothy, just that there were no grievances that were sent to the BCA, and the current use site visits have been completed. PVR is currently working on the audit of the 14 properties in Groton as part of that audit process. So thank you, Dorothy, for the update. Fire Fast, anything from Fire Fast?
I don't have anything for Fire
All right. Good. Library?
She's on vacation
She's on
for a
vacation.
couple weeks, so
Okay.
she has volunteers running the library, so it's not closed. So.
Gotcha. Zoning Administrator?
Okay, several things. Harold and I went up to look at access off Powder Spring for the Taylor property through the Cerullo property. That's not going to happen. There is not enough room coming off Powder Spring for the Groton right-of-way to give them access to where the camp is. And the bank slopes are too steep a slope for them to even start to put a driveway in there if there was enough room. Plus the fact that Mr. Taylor signed a piece of paper to Mr. Cerullo's attorney saying that he agreed to the plan that he would only have access as long as the Cerullos granted it to him. So he's selling the property, or trying to sell it, but it's not, the only access they're gonna have is walk-in. And we checked it all out, we spent quite a bit of time there, found things. We have an appeal of a zoning permit ongoing at Groton Pond. We're gonna have another one, I think, probably within the next 30 days. I got a call, and I had to meet with a fella up by Levi Pond who wants to put a cell tower in. And that's something in our zoning bylaws we don't have anything about. So we'll be going by what the state regs are and height requirements and things like that once we get the full package.
Where is that at?
Levi Pond. Yep. Spending a tremendous amount of time at Groton Pond on complaints between landowners, and the planning commission has given me power now to be a lot line adjuster. So I've been up, I haven't had to adjust any, I've had to mediate several times, but that's about it for that.
Did you get any word from the variance?
I was going to speak about that in open meeting.
I'm sorry.
I spoke with Aaron today about the meeting. I got called, or I got an email last Thursday about going to a meeting for this variance hearing. And I replied that I would come to the meeting, but I wanted to come to the meeting to tell them that they hadn't warned it. They hadn't given it 15 days. Well, I asked the individual on the ZBA, I wrote him 3 different emails to get him to tell me where they were going to meet. I never got a thing back. I came over here last night at 6:30 and waited. Nobody showed up. And then I found out they met at the individual's house. But the meeting shouldn't have taken place because it wasn't warned.
Or anything that would happen there would have been legally
It would be
binding.
null and
Yeah,
void.
yeah.
So we're going to have to take and redo the meeting. Did he say anything to you about Saturday? What time
I
Saturday?
spoke with the party that was looking for a variance, and the wife said that that date, Saturday at 10 would work.
Saturday at 10.
Yeah, but that was a conversation at 5:30, so I haven't been able to, you're the first person I've told about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just aggravating. I have an email, and I have 2 phones, and they can't reach out to me. That's aggravating.
Aaron, I sent a thing too, I don't know if you got it.
I did get that,
Yeah.
yep, and I assume, I don't know if
I sent it
yeah,
to,
the
yeah.
other guys did too, so, yeah, that's.
I didn't hear.
Okay. Anything else, Dan?
Nope, that's it for that.
Thanks.
Here,
Health Officer?
nothing.
Nothing.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Dan, Zach, and Mark, anything to report?
Nope. Maintenance.
Okay, I have a couple things. Puffer ball field, the shed came. I don't know if anybody noticed it. It's, and reminder came yesterday, right? And reminder that the grant paid for this shed. So, it looks really good.
Grant for the ball fields.
Okay.
And we did receive the benches for frost field as well.
Okay.
And Ben's gonna work on that.
Great. Were those
All
dugout
paid for by
benches?
the grant.
Were those were dugout benches, or were
Yep.
they? Okay.
Yeah, just, simple team benches over at frost field.
And I've heard back from the person that you guys we talked about pressure washing the building last year, and the price is still the same, $1,050. And still, I wanna make sure we're still good with that.
That money's still available
Yeah.
in the community building improvement fund, or?
I think we're doing town property maintenance.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Or no, now I don't know.
One of
It's the
those,
building.
there's money.
Yeah, one of those,
Yeah.
we'll take care of it. So, I just wanna make sure, I've sent him the contract, so I'm waiting,
Great.
but I was
I
just
think the
wanna
last
make
meeting you
sure.
hadn't heard.
Okay.
Yeah, right,
Okay, good.
so,
Sounds good. So you're just waiting to hear back when he's gonna be able to do the work?
right, because I want to know when he's coming, so I can alert everybody to know, make sure there's nothing going on, and there's a lot of cars, because he's
Yeah.
gonna rent a lift, and I just want a place to be.
That'd be the day the highway has something going on at the gym.
Yeah, right.
Is the whole classes sometimes?
That's just like the highway.
Yeah.
All right.
I got something for maintenance.
Okay.
I see Dorothy last week when we were up there patching that Mitre Hill. She mentioned that something about putting a sign out here where she parks. Often when she pulls in, there's someone parked there, so she has to park further away. I don't know if you've seen her lately, she's walking with a cane.
Oh, a handicap sign? Is that what you mean?
I don't know if you really want to make it a handicap spot,
Oh.
but a reserved spot maybe?
Reserved would be better than handicap.
Yeah.
Because
Because if it was a
anybody,
handicap spot, it would need to.
Oh, you gotta go through.
We're not,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't even know that reserve will necessarily.
Well,
Right.
if
Well,
it
you
doesn't.
put reserved for Dorothy not.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, between the hours of 8 and 5, or, I mean,
Just put reserved for assistant assessor.
Right, there you go.
I just,
Yeah, I'm fine.
Bringing it
Can you-
up.
Can you get a sign made out?
I can,
Are you guys all right with that?
That's fine. Yeah. I say,
Just,
go for it. Sounds good.
okay, that's all I
Okay.
got.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for
IT,
What?
IT, nothing.
The phone
Oh,
was the only
yeah.
thing that was IT
Alright.
related.
I do
Any-
think it needs to be said, the printers, it needs to be in people's minds, because they're on their last legs.
The printers, okay.
Two over in
My
the treasurer's office.
Which
Not
we have a
big.
budget, right?
Yes, we're just trying to limp along, and
So I would suggest let's get quotes for those and get it into,
I get one every year, and
The
then I
budget.
make sure our budget covers it, and, but
Something
every
happens.
year I try not to spend it, but, because it's okay, but.
well, I would
they are-
suggest
Oh, it's not
before they,
scanning.
Yeah, right,
before
you
they
can't
quit
scan.
on you altogether, I would say, if you've got the money in the budget for it now, you know,
Yeah,
we
before
can approve it,
taxes.
but I'd
Well, that
pay for it.
one that prints all the tax bills is the one
Yeah,
that's on its
yeah,
last
one.
legs.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, it's always better to replace it before it dies.
Just listen to it. I'm not kidding.
And it won't scan, Gary's worked many hours trying to get it to scan, and he cannot figure it out.
Yeah, I would suggest before it breaks and then you're
And he's
halfway
just
through
like,
the
it's just a
print tax.
Same way you know something wrong with your truck, it doesn't sound right.
Doesn't go.
Doesn't go like it used to either.
So, yeah, I would say if it's there, I mean, let's look at what it's
All right, I'll
gonna
get
cost.
quotes.
Yep. Or whatever, yeah. Planning commission, anything additional, Dan?
No,
Okay.
They are, last time you talked about having bylaws updated.
right, they haven't got that set yet,
Okay.
because they're dealing with variances and,
Well, they have the whole updated red line one, I
right,
think pretty close, but
yeah. They've got to bring it to the select board,
Yeah.
for the select board to approve it. Plus they have to warn it, there's quite a bit to
Yeah, I just talked about it last meeting, so I didn't know if anything.
it. I thought Mike might be here tonight.
All right. Open to the public and other business.
I didn't know if Zach wanted to read that. It's nothing bad.
Yes, that should be
The
right.
town has nominated Mike Geis for the 2022 Community Leadership Summit. This will be an all-inclusive summit aiming to bring new and established voices together from across Vermont. Anyone who is serving on local commissions, taking the lead, or taking a stand in their community, or is engaged in advancing a positive future for their town, city, or state is encouraged to join the conversation. Speakers and participants will represent the full diversity of Vermont community members and leaders, including youth, municipal leaders, community organizers, and volunteers, people with lived experience with critical challenges facing our community as experts and technical assistance providers, regional leaders, and more. And that's at Vermont Technical College on August 10th, and he's going. Awesome.
He was nominated by the town of Groton.
That's right, he was. That's what it said at the top.
Yep.
But glad that he is
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
attend. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. I appreciate Mike stepping up and, you know, helping take on the CUD stuff and, you know, deal with our antics the whole way along, so.
So get hollered at over cabinets and take it on the stride. He does good.
Yep.
Any public,
Any other?
Yeah, I have one more thing.
Okay.
I'm very glad that Mark came on and did the dog thing. I'm having a problem with a dog that lives a mile from me, comes into my yard, growls at my wife, goes after my dogs, goes after my goats. It's gonna end up dead. I've been to the people, I've told them, they don't listen, they must think I'm joking or something. The next time it comes in my yard, I'm going to eliminate the problem.
you don't have to know these things.
Well, I'm telling you straight out
So
because
Have we,
we have written them letters.
Written them a letter?
Yes, 2, right? They've gotten 2 letters and they're supposed to be fined.
yeah,
And
Have they been
I
fined?
take video of this idiot coming in the
Well,
yard.
I mean, now that Mark is involved, it can be a little easier to find,
Yeah.
because he can actually,
He can go and.
Send them out tomorrow. Get your badge on, you get your,
Get
I
your
won't
cap.
even have to draw it.
No, it's a lot down.
Yeah, right.
Same gas.
take your,
Just hold the magnetic sign.
get your hat on.
that's it.
Okay.
Just like Andy Griffith. Right down.
Try finding them first, and then, I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, that's what we should do, and then
If it comes after my baby goats again, it's done.
that's fine.
Okay, it's
I just don't wanna know this stuff, that's,
No, I'm telling you, because you will hear the report all the way to your house.
All right. Other open to the public and other business.
So I just want to understand about the agenda. Are you creating the agendas now or Nicole for the select board?
I have been.
Zach has it.
Yeah.
Okay, and have you been receiving emails or requests to be at the meetings? Like, are you checking your email?
Yeah, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't
Okay.
requested anything.
Okay,
Yeah, I haven't been,
Okay.
unless I'm missing something.
all right, I just
I
want to
could
make
be.
sure that everybody's looking, because,
Yeah.
you know, we're not hearing too much. And then posting at the post office and the Groton Tire and Auto.
Yeah, I need help with that, because by the time I get stuff approved and then printed, it's,
You put it on a
Tuesday.
sign, that should cover everything.
yeah. So if
Really?
anybody would like to
Doesn't, by law,
volunteer to
has
help.
to-
Nobody
put them
looks
out.
at.
I know, but that's what the law is.
doesn't matter.
Town clerk's office and
We're gonna
everybody-
change the law. It's on the sign.
What's easier, I mean, I don't know.
It is, it's
Post
tough
office.
for us to get.
And here is easy enough.
Yeah, I mean, Groton Tire and Auto
It
is,
depends
I
on
just
my
am
week.
not, timing just
I don't
doesn't work
mind
for me.
doing it, but if I'm busy, then
Why don't you
I
just fax it to the library and have them post it there?
fax.
Well, but by ordinance, we have to post it at the post
How
office. We
about,
can
you
change
know
that.
anybody at Groton Tire and Auto, we could just email it there and they can print it
I've
off
done it
and
in
put
a
it up.
pinch, but I
I
guess
know.
I'll talk to her about doing it all the time.
Maybe we can give her a stipend.
That's right. We send town business there,
It's true. We do.
right?
So, I mean, it's a matter of,
I don't know, it's not that
No,
we're
I
trying
know.
to be, it's just that everybody's busy and then.
I'd
We'll
like to
work
say,
on that.
I'd like to say I do it, but I can't even show up to meet with the treasurer. I say I'm gonna do this.
I will try to do it, I do, I just, it depends on the week.
Because I usually print them, I know it's hard for everybody to print and I have them in the folder.
Yeah, I can print them at work just fine, it's just.
You can do
not-
everything else digitally, it's amazing we have to
Yeah.
literally go do that. You know what I mean? Like the world is digital now.
For anyone to look at it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
Still
sure
law.
one person would look at it.
So by law, can that be
Maybe.
changed at all? We can never-
Maybe.
we have to.
that's something that the new constable could help with.
Oh, yeah.
$25 an hour.
Easy enough.
You say that, but you're pretty busy with Dad.
Yeah, it's,
Well, Dad, I gotta go,
I gotta go post this piece of paper at the shop.
I'm sure he needs a little thing of oil.
These are all signed. I don't know if you want to put it in that select board folder.
I can, yeah.
okay, so where are we at?
All right, any other business open to the public? Once, twice, all right.
Set agenda.
Set the agenda, so am I correct in the statement that we're gonna have our next meeting on September 1st?
Correct.
Okay. All right, ahead of Labor Day weekend, everybody's gonna be here, right?
Oh, when's that? What? What did you just say?
September 1st, Thursday, before Labor Day
Thursday,
weekend.
just before Labor Day weekend.
You'll be working that day, and you'll go on your vacation.
Oh, I don't know if I will be. I might not be around, but that's okay. That's a
We
good
can
day
eat
to have.
without you. Just kidding.
I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know.
we could.
Well, that's just.
Health officer.
You get a lot of the work added to the plate. Okay, so I guess we'll put Rachel Smith on there. Rachel Smith, Grimes Acre Concern, is that,
Oh, that never showed up.
that never showed up, so.
Today. And then,
Check. I think for law enforcement, we can move that down to department updates. and
that
we'll have
should
a
be just
constable letter.
department updates. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't have to come and stay for the whole entire meeting for, you know.
I think.
Well, it's-
If you put law enforcement last.
Remember one thing, Mark, if you're not here, you can't stick up for yourself.
It's true.
So, and it's, if you don't have an update, there's, have to come.
You can just email me or something that you
Yeah, if it
I'm
doesn't
sure.
work in your schedule.
for a while.
For a while, you're probably gonna have to.
All right, and then department updates, is there anything else that anybody thinks we need to
Just
discuss?
policies.
Yeah,
I
policies,
gave you
yeah.
the little schedule, so you
Yeah, we'll put that on.
add that.
So hopefully there'll be 2 things on the agenda for next.
Yeah, that'll be it.
I'm sure that any case CUD,
Yeah.
figure out that
Maybe we'll know
building.
how big our cabinet needs to be.
I want to know
Yeah.
why we're sending something to South-Brighton.
Should we adjourn? We should.
The second cabinet is for South-Brighton, it's not for us, and it went from a 1,000 to a 2,000, to 2,000.
Well,
Hopefully Mike-
I'm gonna understand a little bit more about that, so. All right, I don't think there's anything else for the agenda. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn, and we'll sign the orders after.
I second it.
All right. All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.